Department spokesperson. She's here in the studio with us. Great to see you.
Hey, sir.
How's
Good
Nashville?
It's the best.
Got that twang going here?
I'm working on it. It's coming. I have to have a bourbon or two.
Well, we can arrange that. So we see all these protests in Russia. Last count, 2,500 people were arrested. These are people who don't want to go to war in Ukraine. They know what's going on there. They're not convinced that this is the right thing to do from even a Russian perspective. But is this raising any significant pressure on Putin?
I think so, because he initially, at the beginning of the war, his propaganda machine was actually working quite well. I think you and I talked about it earlier this year when I sort of saw a failure in our intelligence community that we weren't able to counter his propaganda at home. So definitely for the first 4 or 5 months of this war, the Russian people were on his side. They believed it. Now you're seeing it turn as people come home in body bags. We're seeing the protest, as you mentioned, in over 37 cities, calling up hundreds of thousands of people. And if you're a parent, you know, in Russia, you know you're probably sending their child to the death. You could look online on Twitter and other places where they're showing videos of these rusted machine guns and terrible equipment that they're being assigned. So it's hard to win the propaganda war when people are coming home in body bags. Now, how does that affect his calculation? Listen, Putin's back is against the wall. And as the CIA director has noted, you know, aging and decaying empires can be great powers, can be as perilous as ones that are rising. So we can't take anything that he says lightly. We have to take it seriously. At the same time, the United States and the West cannot allow ourselves to be blackmailed from a nuclear weapons perspective by Russia, by Putin. We cannot let him blackmail us into telling the Ukrainians that they have to stop or that we have to ease up pressure, because if we allow Putin to do that, if we blink in the face of his nuclear threats, then Xi Jinping will see that, and the Ayatollah in Iran will see that, and everybody will use that as a tactic against the West.
I want to actually dig in on that, Morgan, because the president hasn't made clear exactly what the consequences would be. Say Russia uses nuclear weapons. Jake Sullivan, I believe, said the U.S. would act decisively. Yeah. What does that mean to you, and do you think it's enough?
We're going to have to define it more in the public domain. I assume and I hope that there are clear red lines that are being communicated behind the scenes to the Russians. I don't know. I'm not currently communicating to them, but I know, sitting in many meetings with them and Mike Pompeo, that you can leave no wiggle room, that you have to, again, establish those clear red lines. And the administration may not know what it is yet, but I'm hearing a lot of talk and chatter, Aishah, of people saying, well, maybe we need to give Putin this off-ramp. Maybe we do need to get the Ukrainians to concede. That is the wrong approach, because Xi Jinping will see that and he will use that tactic whenever it comes to Taiwan. The Ayatollah in Iran will continue to use that tactic as it relates to getting a nuclear weapon. We can't be blackmailed by rogue states that have nuclear weapons. And if we do, then we lose all of our leverage around the world.
Let's talk about not the border between Russia and Ukraine, but the border between Mexico and the United States, because since Biden took office, 267,000 unaccompanied minors have come across that border. And we know how perilous it is because, I mean, we've got 800 people, I think, at last count this year who have died trying to make that perilous journey across the border. We're talking about kids who are being set up.
That's right. This is about 5 times as many unaccompanied migrant children who came across the border in the last year of the Trump administration. These people are coming across the border, and a lot of time it's parents sending their children across the border with these drug cartels. Maybe they think that they're sending their children to a better life, but they're not. As many times as you pointed out, they're sending them to their death. And for many of the young women, teenage women, you're seeing rapes, you're seeing human trafficking. I think we need to start thinking about these drug cartels a little bit more like terrorist organizations. And what do I mean by that? These drug cartels, first of all, are set to make $13 billion this year in human trafficking and smuggling and the fentanyl and the drugs and whatever else they're smuggling across the border. But similar to ISIS or even Al-Qaeda, the way in which they treat women and children, you know, the rapings, the murders, even some reports of beheadings, these are the act of terrorist organizations, and they're acting this way because there is an open border policy that allows them to get away with it. I was just there a few weeks ago. I saw the open border myself. I saw the smugglers put a ladder, have people climb over the fence, and then they ran into America.
Amazing,
I saw it myself.
And I wonder what it's going to take to get people to really talk about it and do something about it, because we show the numbers every day. We show the visuals all the time, but it seems like it's not getting anywhere in Washington.
We need to talk about what is a humane border policy, and an open border that allows drug cartels and smugglers to take advantage and rape and human traffic young people and to hurt these children. That is not a humane policy. Yeah. It's anything but.
And as we saw on the screen a moment ago, in the last 2 years, nearly 5 million people.
Incredible. Incredible.
Great to see you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Morgan. Thanks. All right, a 33-year-old woman was just on her way to work, and now she says she may end up blind after a man already convicted of murder turned his